Have you ever felt like the world is spinning faster than you can breathe? The news doesn't stop. Deadlines keep coming. People expect you to be strong, available, and composed, while your inner world is screaming for just one moment of peace. You're not alone. We're living in a time when chaos has become the new normal, and it's exhausting. But what if I told you something powerful, something ancient? What if I told you that your calm doesn't have to wait for the world to settle down? What if the stillness you crave isn't out there, but already inside you, waiting to be awakened? Welcome to this video, How to Stay Calm in Chaos, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Times. This isn't just a motivational speech, it's a guide, a journey back to the core of your being, where peace still exists, even when everything outside is crumbling. You see, the secret isn't to avoid chaos, it's to learn how to navigate through it with grace. And the people who've mastered this, they weren't born with some magical trait. They practiced it, they trained for it. The Stoics, the Zen monks, the samurai, the spiritual teachers from every corner of the world, they all faced chaos and yet they remained calm. Not because life was easy, but because their mind was steady, and that same power lives in you. Today, you'll learn 8 timeless principles pulled directly from ancient wisdom, each one designed to help you breathe through pressure, respond instead of react, and stand grounded even when the world shakes. These aren't abstract philosophies. They're practical tools, proven over centuries, backed by modern science and urgently needed in today's chaotic world. You'll discover how your breath becomes your anchor, how your thoughts shape your peace, and why detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. You'll see how your habits, your inner rituals, your daily mindset determine whether you'll be swept away by stress or rise above it with strength. You're going to learn how to make calm your superpower, how to turn chaos into your teacher, and how to walk through the fire without getting burned. Because in every storm there are 2 types of people, those who panic and those who pause, breathe and rise. You're here because you're ready to become the second. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, anxious or stretched too thin, this message is for you, not just to motivate you, but to equip you, to give you the tools the ancients used, the mindset they cultivated, and the calm they carried into the battlefields of life. Let this be your moment to reset, to refocus, to reclaim your peace. The chaos isn't going anywhere, but today, you learn how to stop letting it control you. Let's begin. The world is loud, but you don't have to be. Open your phone, turn on the news, scroll for 5 seconds, and you'll feel it. Chaos, it's everywhere. The world feels loud, fast, and always urgent. You're expected to react instantly, respond quickly, stay on top of everything, all while appearing calm, productive, and perfect. But here's the truth. The world may be in chaos, but you don't have to be. You see, peace is no longer a luxury, it's a skill. And the most powerful thing you can do right now is choose to step back, center yourself, and decide to become the calm in the storm. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And this wisdom has been echoed throughout history by Stoic philosophers, Zen masters, samurai warriors, and spiritual leaders across cultures. They all knew something we've forgotten. In the age of endless alerts, calmness is a kind of power. It's not about pretending things aren't falling apart. It's about learning how to remain whole even when they are. Ancient thinkers didn't have social media or 24-hour news cycles, but they dealt with war, famine, loss, and uncertainty. Yet what set them apart wasn't the absence of hardship, it was the strength of their inner world. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, ruled in times of great conflict, yet wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the mindset we must return to. You don't need to fix everything around you to feel peace. You need to learn how to guard the gates of your mind. Because here's the trap. If you wait for the world to calm down before you feel better, you'll be waiting your whole life. The outer world will always be noisy, but inside you there can be stillness. Like the eye of a hurricane, calm, focused, unmoved. It begins with intention. You must decide, I will no longer let outside noise control my inner world. That decision alone separates you from 99% of people, because most are stuck in reaction mode, angry, anxious, and overstimulated. But you're choosing awareness. You're choosing strength through stillness. When you realize that peace is not found in the world, but within you, everything changes. So the next time life spins around you, pause, close your eyes, breathe deeply. Remind yourself, this noise is not me. This moment is not forever. I am calm, I am rooted, I am ready. That is ancient power, that is modern mastery. And that, my friend, is where your transformation begins. Stillness is a skill, not a trait. Let's get one thing clear. Calmness is not something you're born with. It's not a personality trait reserved for monks, mystics, or people who have it all together. It's a skill, one that you can build, sharpen, and master over time. Some people say, I've always been anxious, I just can't help it. But here's the truth. What you practice, you become. And if you've spent years practicing stress, reactivity, and self-judgment, then of course chaos feels familiar. But what if you made a new decision today? What if you decided to start practicing stillness, not just in perfect moments, but in the mess? Because that's what the ancients did. They didn't wait for peace to arrive, they created it within. The Stoics, for example, didn't teach emotional suppression, they taught emotional discipline. They taught that while you can't always control what happens, you can absolutely control how you respond. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's where stillness begins, not in your environment, but in your inner mastery. Stillness is a daily decision to slow down before you speak, to breathe before you react, to observe your thoughts instead of becoming your thoughts. This practice isn't reserved for spiritual retreats or mountaintop monasteries. You can train stillness in your car, in your office, in your kitchen while doing dishes, because stillness is a mindset, not a location. In ancient Japan, the samurai warriors were taught Zen meditation not to become passive, but to become clear. They needed to move with precision under pressure, and they understood that clarity only comes when the mind is still. That same discipline can be yours, but like any skill, it must be practiced with patience and persistence. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to show up for the practice. Start small. Each morning, give yourself 3 minutes of silence before the world pulls at your attention. In moments of tension, ask yourself, what would a calm version of me do right now? At first, it will feel unnatural, but with time, your nervous system will adapt, your mind will slow, your reactions will soften, your presence will deepen, and that's when things shift, because people around you will feel it. Your energy will stabilize the room, your presence will inspire trust, your peace will become your power. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength that no one can take from you. So don't wait for life to hand you peace. Build it, one breath, one pause, one moment of intention at a time. The ancient ones did it, and so can you. Breathe like the ancients did. When your world starts spinning, your breath will tell the truth. It tightens, it shortens, it speeds up. Your breath is the bridge between your thoughts and your body, between the storm in your mind and the stillness your soul is searching for. And here's the key. If you control your breath, you begin to control your life. Ancient civilizations knew this long before modern science caught up. The yogis of India developed pranayama, the art of breath control, not for physical fitness, but for inner mastery. Taoist sages in China practiced slow, intentional breathing to extend life and quiet the spirit. Buddhist monks centered their meditations on the breath to still the monkey mind. They understood something many of us have forgotten. Breathing is not automatic. It's intentional. It's sacred. And in chaos, your breath becomes your anchor. Think about it. When you panic, what happens? Your breathing becomes shallow and fast. Your shoulders tense. Your chest tightens. But when you slow your breathing, when you consciously inhale through your nose, hold it gently, and exhale even more slowly, your entire nervous system receives a message. We are safe. That one choice to slow your breath can shift your brain from fight or flight into clarity and calm. Modern research confirms what the ancients practiced. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing lowers cortisol, reduces anxiety, and brings your heart rate back to peace. In other words, your breath is your superpower, and you carry it with you everywhere. Here's a simple, ancient-inspired method you can begin right now. 4 to 7, 8 breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. Repeat this for just 2 minutes. Watch what happens. You'll start to feel space between your thoughts. You'll feel less urgency and more presence. You'll remember you're not your circumstances. You're the awareness beneath them. Breath is also a metaphor. To breathe is to let go. To exhale is to release. Each breath is a chance to return to your center, to your clarity, to your courage. Ancient warriors didn't just fight battles, they trained their minds to be still under pressure. Before a duel, they would sit in silence, following the rhythm of their breath, not because they were afraid of death, but because they knew. Only in calmness could their spirit remain unshaken. You are no different. You're battling stress, deadlines, uncertainty, and pressure. And in that battle, your breath is your sword and shield. Your breath is how you win. So the next time chaos knocks on your door, pause, close your eyes, breathe with intention. Feel the air enter your body like light. Exhale like you're letting go of the weight of the world. And remind yourself, I've trained for this. I breathe through the storm. Detach to regain your power. One of the most misunderstood ideas in modern life is this: if I care, I must control. We grip tighter. We micromanage. We obsess over outcomes. But in trying to control everything, we lose the very thing that keeps us calm, our inner balance. Now here's what the ancients knew that most people today forget. True power doesn't come from control. It comes from detachment, not coldness, not indifference, but spiritual detachment, the ability to stay connected to your purpose without being controlled by your outcomes. Let's go back to the Bhagavad Gita, one of the oldest and most powerful spiritual texts in the world. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, "You have a right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions." This is profound. It means, do your best, give your full effort, but don't let your peace be held hostage by results you can't always control. In Stoic philosophy, this idea shows up again. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." In other words, focus on what you can influence, your breath, your choices, your response, and surrender what you cannot, the chaos, the weather, the opinions, the outcomes. This isn't giving up, it's wisdom, it's emotional maturity. It's choosing to protect your peace over chasing perfection. When you let go of your need to control everything, you create space. Space for creativity, space for clarity, space for calm, and in that space, your energy rises. Have you ever noticed how much energy it takes to cling, to worry, to plan, to overthink every possible outcome? Now imagine freeing yourself from that mental prison. Imagine stepping back, breathing deeply and saying, "I will give this my best, but I will not suffer over what I cannot change." That's strength. That's ancient mastery in modern form. Even the great Lao Tzu, founder of Taoism, taught, by letting it go, it all gets done. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust your process, your preparation, your path. And here's what's wild. When you detach, you actually perform better. Why? Because your energy is no longer tied up in fear. You become more present, more focused, more alive in the moment. So the next time chaos rushes in, ask yourself, what can I control right now? What must I release? And say it out loud if you have to. This is not mine to carry. You're not here to control the storm. You're here to remain calm within it. The world will keep spinning. Let it. You stay grounded. Because calm doesn't come from controlling the chaos. It comes from rising above it. Respond, don't react. In every moment of tension, you are offered a sacred choice. Will I react or will I respond? This single decision can be the difference between chaos and control, regret and peace, destruction and transformation. Let's understand the difference. A reaction is fast, emotional and unconscious. It's the sharp word you wish you could take back. The anger that flares before you understand. The fear that controls you before you've even assessed the situation. But a response that is slow, thoughtful and conscious. It's rooted in awareness. It creates space between what happens to you and what you do about it. Ancient wisdom teaches us that freedom lies in that space. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and philosopher, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The Stoics trained for this. They didn't meditate for comfort, they meditated for clarity. They practiced visualizing worst-case scenarios, not to scare themselves, but to prepare their minds to stay calm no matter what came. They were warriors of the mind. When something triggers you, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, what's the best version of me here? What would wisdom do? Not ego. This is not weakness, it is strength, it is emotional mastery. In Eastern philosophy, Zen masters often told their students, when the archer shoots for no prize, he has all his skill. Why? Because the pressure to win clouds the mind. You cannot think clearly in a reactive state. The more you react, the less you control. The more you respond, the more power you regain. This is how true leaders are formed, not by charisma, but by composure. They don't let outside noise determine their internal voice. They move with intention, not impulse. Now ask yourself, how many times have you created more damage just because you didn't pause? one message sent in anger, one reaction fueled by fear, one impulsive choice made in stress. But what if, in that moment, you breathed instead of bursting? You are not your emotions, you are the awareness behind your emotions, and that awareness gives you the power to choose. The next time you're triggered by a person, a situation, a thought, remember, you don't owe anyone your anger. You don't owe stress your energy. You don't owe chaos your peace. You owe yourself your own presence. So let the world react. You respond with calm, with clarity, with control. That's how you rise above. That's how you lead. That's how you stay unshakable. Align your actions with ancient truth. When chaos hits, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you stand for. You start operating on survival mode. You wake up reacting. You spend your day trying to keep up, to fix everything, to please everyone. And in that cycle, you begin to lose yourself. But here's a timeless truth. In the storm, your values are your anchor. The ancients knew this. In a world constantly shifting, they held on to principles that didn't change: discipline, service, gratitude, and simplicity. These weren't just lofty ideals. They were practical tools to stay grounded. Take discipline, for example. The Stoics believed that freedom wasn't the absence of rules, it was the presence of self-control. They practiced daily routines, mental rehearsal, and rigorous self-reflection. Why? Because they understood that your habits shape your response. And if your habits are chaotic, your reactions will be too. So ask yourself, what are my habits when things get tough? Do I spiral or do I center myself? Gratitude was another pillar. Even in hardship, ancient texts like the Tao Te Ching or the writings of Marcus Aurelius remind us, do not waste what is within your grasp by longing for what lies beyond it. Chaos often tricks us into focusing on what's missing. But gratitude brings us back to what's working, what's true, and what's possible. It grounds us in the present moment and reawakens calm. Then there's service, the act of contributing beyond yourself. In Buddhist philosophy, service was a path to transcend suffering. When you help others, you rise above your own stress. You shift from, why is this happening to me, to, how can I grow through this and give something meaningful? This is how you bring stability to your inner world, by aligning with ancient values that don't break when life does. And finally, there's simplicity in chaos. We think we need more information, more control, more speed. But ancient wisdom teaches the opposite. Less is more. The Tao says, to attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, remove things every day. So remove what clutters your peace. Clear your mental desk. Strip your life back to what matters. Your breath, your mindset, your values, your purpose. When you align your actions with these ancient truths, you build a framework that doesn't fall under pressure. You no longer live based on what the world demands, but on what your soul knows is right. In that alignment, you'll find a power no storm can shake. Because the goal isn't just to get through chaos. The goal is to walk through it as the most grounded version of yourself. Not controlled by the noise, but guided by something older, wiser, and unbreakable. Protect your inner temple. In ancient times, temples were sacred spaces, quiet, clean, and protected from the chaos of the outside world. They weren't just buildings, they were sanctuaries. People respected them, honored them, and understood that what happened inside those walls had the power to influence everything outside. Now ask yourself this, what if your mind was that temple? What if your thoughts, your energy, your peace were all sacred? Would you let just anyone walk in with muddy shoes? Would you allow just any noise to echo through its halls? Would you give space to every fear, doubt, or distraction that knocks? Probably not. But that's exactly what we do when we fail to protect our inner space. We let the news, the noise, the negative opinions, and the constant comparisons from social media flood our sacred mental space. And over time, the temple becomes noisy, crowded, chaotic. You can't stay calm in chaos if you carry chaos within you. That's why ancient wisdom teaches the importance of guarding the gates of your mind. The Buddha taught that the mind is everything. What you think, you become. So you must treat your inner world with the same respect as the most sacred space. Start by asking yourself, who and what am I allowing into my mind every day? The news, toxic people, social media arguments, self-doubt, overwhelm? It's not about cutting off the world completely. It's about curating your inner world like your life depends on it, because it does. The ancient samurai believed in cultivating zanshin, a state of total awareness and presence. They trained to notice when their minds were being pulled, distracted, or polluted, and they redirected focus before chaos ever took root. That's your challenge today. Protect your temple. Filter the voices you allow in. Not every notification deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves you or reaction. Not every crisis is your responsibility to solve. Silence is not empty. It is where clarity is born. Make time for it. Create mental rituals, morning stillness, journaling out the noise, walking without your phone, ending the day with reflection instead of endless scrolling. These aren't luxuries, they are boundaries, and boundaries protect peace. You don't have to shut the world out completely, but you do have to build walls strong enough to filter what enters your soul. So ask yourself today, what kind of temple am I building? Is it cluttered and noisy, filled with what others want from me, or is it peaceful, aligned and centered on what I need to be at my best? Because peace isn't found, it's protected. And once you make your mind sacred, once you treat your inner world as a temple, you stop being shaken by every storm. Chaos is the training ground for the calm warrior. Most people think calmness is the reward for having no problems. They say things like, "I'll feel better when this is over," or "Once this settles down, I can finally relax." But here's the ancient truth that changes everything. Calm is not the result of avoiding chaos. Calm is forged through chaos. Just like a blade becomes sharp by meeting the stone, your inner stillness is honed in moments of pressure, not peace. The great sages, warriors, and philosophers didn't become unshakable by chance. They became calm by choice, repeatedly choosing presence over panic, breath over reaction, clarity over emotion, even in their hardest hours. They didn't wait for the world to be easy. They prepared their inner world to face anything. In fact, it was the storms that made them strong. Think of a tree rooted deeply in the earth. When the winds howl and the sky rages, the branches may sway, but the roots remain. It doesn't panic, it bends, it stays rooted, it survives and grows stronger. You are no different. Chaos is not your enemy. It is your training ground. Every difficult conversation, every overwhelming moment, every unexpected storm is your opportunity to practice calm, to pause, to breathe, to remember, this is where I rise. We live in a world that rewards speed and reaction, but true mastery comes to those who practice stillness under pressure. When the world screams, you whisper truth to yourself. I am grounded. I am aware. I am not controlled by this. This isn't spiritual bypassing. It's soul-level strength. It's not pretending that problems don't exist. It's choosing not to become a prisoner of them. In ancient martial arts, there's a principle. The calmest fighter wins the fight. Why? Because they think clearly. They conserve energy. They move with wisdom, not desperation. The same applies to Youll. Your calmness is not passive, it is strategic, it is powerful, it allows you to lead, to navigate, to adapt. So the next time you feel chaos rising around you, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? What lesson is here for me? What strength am I building in this moment? Every storm makes you wiser, every trial sharpens your tools, and every act of stillness makes you more unbreakable. So stand tall, let the winds come, let the noise rise. You're not here to avoid the chaos. You're here to walk through it as a calm warrior, anchored, aware, and alive. Because in a world that shakes, you don't have to. As we close this journey together, let's take a moment to reflect, not on the chaos around us, but on the calm you've now begun to claim. You see, the world will never stop spinning, the headlines won't stop shouting, people will still misunderstand you, there will still be traffic, pressure, deadlines, setbacks, and difficult days. But here's the difference. You've changed. You've been given tools, drawn from the wisest minds across centuries and civilizations, not to escape life's chaos, but to rise above it. And that shift, that inner awakening, that decision to stay steady in the storm, that's power, that's peace, that's ancient mastery being lived in modern times. You've learned that calm is not passive, it's active, it's a daily discipline, it's breathing deeply when the world pushes hard, it's choosing presence over panic, purpose over pressure, and clarity over reaction. You've been reminded that your breath is your anchor, that stillness is a skill, that you are not your circumstances, you are the awareness within them, and that ancient wisdom still lives, not in dusty texts or distant temples, but right here, in you. When you choose to detach from what you can't control, when you set boundaries to protect your inner temple, when you respond with intention instead of reacting with emotion, you don't just survive the chaos, you transform within it. You become the calm in the middle of the storm, you become the example others turn to, you become the unshakable one in a shaking world. And that's your real power, not in fixing everything, but in being the one who stands firm when nothing else does. Because here's what's true. Calm is contagious. Your peace radiates. Your inner strength gives others permission to find their own. So take what you've learned today and live it. Live it in your morning routine. Live it in your relationships. Live it in stress. Full meetings, tense conversations, and quiet moments of doubt. Let calm be not just what you carry, but who you are becoming. Because when you are calm, you're not avoiding life. You're leading it, you're guiding it, you're mastering it. The chaos may not change, but you have. And now you get to walk through the world differently, not shaken by what's happening outside, but centered in what's unfolding within. So breathe deep, stand tall, stay grounded. Let your peace speak louder than the noise. Let your calm be the revolution. Let your presence be the proof that ancient wisdom is still alive. Through you, you are the calm warrior, and the world needs you now more than ever. Now go and live it.